right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thank you very much, Ken Rice. Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. I'm here at 412-575-2600. That's the number to call. It's the hotline. Andrew Fillipponi is there, meaning 93.7 The Fan. And they had, I'm sure, a rousing PM show today. And Pony, the Pirates, again, this is a stretch we talked about before they went to Atlanta. And you look at all these teams, Atlanta, St. Louis tonight, the start of a 3-game series. And then after that, it's the Mets for 4. They've been as hot as anyone in baseball. And then the Brewers. And so far, it's off to a 1-3 start. This could be, the end of any thought of making a trade if they go through this stretch of games and they go, say, out of 13, 4-9. If this happens, they're going to be in big trouble. And I don't know that that would mean that they would be searching for someone to come in here to play.
Yeah, I'm just so disgusted with this game, and I know they ended up scoring 4 runs, which usually is enough for the Pirates to win, given their offensive futility. That's good enough most games, if not all games this year, when Mitch Keller has been on the mound. But I'm seething right now because I see a lack of focus from a team that had a day off to get ready for the start of a huge homestand, and one that's going to determine their fate. I tweeted this, and I got no reaction to it. Maybe I'm the only person that's bothered by it. Your best defensive player in this game forgot how many outs there were. That is unacceptable. How does that happen? When he's a defensive guy, if Manny Ramirez is out to lunch and has forgotten how many outs there are in an inning, okay, he'll hit 350 for you and drive in 110 runs. Brian Hayes is supposed to be this era's Brooks Robinson. He doesn't know how many outs there are? Where is your head at? Yasmani Grandal takes a catcher's interference in this game. This is a huge chunk of their season. They are now 3-10 coming off a day off. The only team in baseball with a worse record with 24 hours to chill out is the White Sox, who are 1-11. You're worse than every team in the National League. And all this team does is rest people. Let's rest. Rest is good. Get off your feet. Have a day off. Have a cocktail. Have a nice lunch. Don't play. They actually get worse with rest. So maybe I'm the only person that gets upset about this stuff, but it drives me nuts when your star third baseman has no clue how many outs there are in an inning, and that could have been, and he got out of it. But, Bob, to me, that showed that their heads were not in this game and where it needed to be tonight.
Right, especially after day off, so like you said. I looked at that number tonight. It was in the press box. By the way, I was looking for you. I didn't see you there. And I said, okay, Pony said he was going to sit up here and cut it up with me, but he's not here. But I looked at some of the statistics, and that one jumped out at me. I thought for sure after days off, for a team that really likes to give players days off when they're playing, when they're not playing, you should come back with a bunch of energy. And that was not the case tonight. Of course, Mitch Keller was not at his best for that one inning where he gave up all those runs, 2 innings actually. But yeah, that kind of stuff should drive any manager nuts. And I would hope Derek Shelton would talk to him and say, hey, you're not exactly swinging a good bat, so if you forget what you're doing out there, that's an unacceptable thing. So, but that's 1-3 now since they went to Atlanta. Real quick, I want to ask you about Sebastian Aho. I got real excited when I first heard Sebastian Aho is coming to Pittsburgh. Then I thought for a minute, that can't be Sebastian Aho in Carolina. No, instead it's the one from the Islanders. Another defenseman, Andrew. How many defensemen are they going to bring in? And they're all at like $775,000 to $1.2 million.
How much did Kyle Dubas dislike P.O. Joseph?
Yeah.
It seems like they had a big issue with him. I thought he played well with Chris Letang in March and April when the Penguins were coming out of their March funk, and then got on that hot streak later in the year where he was on that pair with Letang, and then you had St. Ivany and Shea below them, and Shea came back, which is good. I see P.O. Joseph signed in St. Louis with his brother for less than $1 million.
Shocking to me.
If the whole goal this season is to get younger and hungrier, and Kyle Dubas talked yesterday about how it's about prospects and future assets and those things, using terms we haven't seen or heard. Jim Rutherford would have never said those things. He would have fainted or passed out before saying things like that. That was a different time in Penguins history. But why would you move on from a guy like P.O. Joseph in his mid-20s, who I thought came on late in the season in the name of the inferior Aho, Matt Grzelcyk, who was benched throughout the Bruins playoff run. I don't understand why you would pick those guys over P.O. Joseph, Bob, who was one of the few guys in his mid-20s who was playing every night for you at the end of the season.
Especially for less than $1 million. That surprised me, and for that number, I wish they would have brought him back, because that's essentially an easy call for a guy who's been here for 4 years now, and I realize it's not been always good for him, but at the same time, to your point, he came on at the end of last year, which I wanted to see, and he did.
It's a free agent signing, so he's not in the trade, but the two teams. If I had told you at the end of the season the Penguins were going to trade P.O. Joseph to the St. Louis Blues and they were going to get back Kevin Hayes in a second-round pick, would you have made that trade? I would not have. I honestly would not have made that deal, Bob.
The second-round pick still is just funny to me how that all came to be. We're way over. We got to go to a break. We got calls on the line. We want to hear from you at 412-575-2600. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. KDKA Plus. We're taking your calls next right here. Don't go away. Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night comes from the Pirates, Kennedy Pavlisko. She is a tremendous person, and she's recognized tonight at Lending Hearts Gala. We had this back in February. I see it every year, and David Bednar was our Man of the Year for what he's done for Lending Hearts, which is a great organization that helps so many families who have cancer patients. And now celebrate ringing the bell with Cancer-Free Kennedy. That's what we're calling her now, Cancer-Free Kennedy. So congrats to Kennedy Pavlisko and the Pavlisko family, and also David Bednar for doing a great job with Lending Hearts. And we have a banquet every year we do. If you want to get more information on the charity, go to lendinghearts.com. All right, we got a lot of people on the line here, Andrew. So last night we had a couple of issues with our phone line, so maybe somebody called in last night who didn't get on tonight, so I want to get right to them, beginning with Mike in Franklin. Hello, Mike, how are you?
Hey, guys, how you doing?
What's up?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Tony, I'm right there with you, man. The Pirates, this is aggravating. There's no sense of urgency with this team from management all the way down to the players. It's sad to watch. You know, they're so much better of a team, and it just doesn't seem like it's working out for them.
And they have cleanup hitters who switch every night. There is no legitimate cleanup hitter on this team, to the point where they have, you know, anyone from Gonzalez to Tellez to Connor Joe to
Connor Joe.
Yeah, I mean, he's really struggled of late, and that's your cleanup hitter tonight. I realize there aren't many other options for Derek Shelton, but at some point they got to do something about this.
Yeah, Jack Sawinski had a big night, and they need a lot more of that. They need him to go back to being the hitter he was last year. Edward Olivares, who I don't think is any great shakes. I mean, the guy had a horrible slide in Atlanta on Saturday that cost him a game. He is 80 points better by OPS than Jack Sawinski, your fourth outfielder, which goes to show you just how badly Sawinski struggled. And how about Yasmani Grandal, Bob? Why is he playing? Why did they send Jason DeLay down to AAA? Why are they not playing Joey Bart every day now with Davis concussed? Joey Bart, a former number 2 pick who has an OPS over 800. Yasmani Grandal's offensive numbers, Bob, are worse than Austin Hedges last year. And he's not as good defensively. I mentioned the catcher's interference. How about there's a situation, too, where they had a guy dead to rights at second base after a play at the plate where the throw, a good throw, gets him out at second, and he couldn't make one that was on target or strong enough to get the guy out. So I don't get it. I know he's older and he's a veteran, but I don't care about veteran respect or veteran recognition. If you can't play anymore, get out of here. And he looks like he's past his prime, Bob.
And also some of the lobs that he throws back to the pitchers. Teams have done research on him.
The
and
Rockies,
them,
yep.
And they took advantage of that to steal home earlier this season. So, I mean, that kind of stuff, I saw it again tonight a little bit. And I'm like, you haven't learned your lesson? I realize nobody's at third at the time, but don't get into that mindset. Let's go out to Jerry in Franklin on line 5. Hello, Jerry. How are you?
Hey, guys, I'm doing great. Thanks for taking my call. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, with all of the things that we think that the manager has done poorly with the Pirates, I think the one player that they've handled right and given him the right amount of rest is McCutchen. And I love the fact he's taken his outside pitches to center field. He's hit a lot of home runs to center. Mm-hmm. And also
Yep.
with Bailey Falter, is he only on a 1-year deal? Is this his last year? And do you think by trading him if we're out of it, trading him when the trading opens up after the All-Star break, or should we wait until September and try to fleece somebody?
I hope we don't have to start doing that, but apparently it's heading in that direction. But yeah, I mean, he can be one of those guys, who can go into a place and help somebody. A left-hand pitcher, they're in short supply, and if you're good at it, even if you go 5 or 6 innings, he can certainly be that guy. I remember J.A. Happ when he came here. He was not looked at as a big pickup, but he was a veteran who did it and helped them get to where they needed to go. So, Andrew, if it comes to that, I'd do that, and I do believe he's on a 1-year contract.
Well, I don't think people want him because they think that he's a fluke. If you look at all these analytics geeks, they think that it's fielding independent pitching is a stat they believe in, which basically says if you pitch to contact too much, you're bound to give up hits and runs, and they don't think Bailey Falter strikes out enough guys. So I'm guessing the brainiacs that sit in these front offices feel like they'd be buying high on Bailey Falter, and they would be they'd be getting ripped off. But I don't want to give up a major league pitcher on a team that's 3.5 games out of a wild card spot right now with elite starting pitching. Okay, I'm not ready to go there yet. The Cardinals won a World Series with 83 wins not too long ago. The Diamondbacks were there last year with a very young core. I'm not ready to wave the white flag on this season with their pitching. If they do, shame on them.
Well,
they
not
need to be
either,
looking
but
to buy,
I know. If they fell out of the race, I wouldn't have any problem with that because supposedly they have so many good young pitchers.
Well, don't let yourself fall out of the race. Make sure you staunch the bleeding by bringing somebody in.
Yeah, but when are they going to do
it?
When are they going to do it?
I know.
We've been talking about this forever, and if you get hot at the right time, and to your point, St. Louis did it, Arizona did it. When you do it and you're hot, you can do a lot of good things in the postseason.
I had to pull over while I was driving into work today. I heard Andrew Destin from the Post-Gazette with Paul Zeiss say maybe their trade deadline move will be Miguel Andujar from the A's, a guy that had a cup of coffee with them last. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're talking about, stuff like that. And he also mentioned a trade deadline where they buy and sell, where they get rid of Aroldis Chapman because he's making a lot of money, $5 million left on his deal. Bob, if that's what they do, I'm gonna take my ball and go home. If that's going to be their move, seriously. If that's now that's speculation on his part, educated speculation. But I don't want this buy sell. Pick a lane. Pick what you want to be.
And they're still, again, it's a logjam despite their win. If they win the next 2 against St. Louis and then win 3 out of 4 against the Mets, they'll be knocking on that door. And that's why you have to do something. And I would have preferred it already happened. Let's go to John in Castle Shannon. John joins us here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. What's up?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Hey.
Yes, the Pirates have a good pitching staff for sure. But how can I take this team serious when Connor Joe is batting cleanup? You talk about one hitter away is from far away from this team. They need at least 2 or 3 bats at least. They're far from a contender.
Yeah, and they don't have anyone really in their system who's ready to come up and help them in that regard, which makes that a daunting task and one they can't probably complete. They should have done more in this offseason, I thought. You had texted me something about the Royals, and you look at what they've done, Andrew. They spend more money than the Pirates do, and they're getting results.
Bob, I want to just push back a little bit on, yes, when I look at their lineup and where they rank offensively, they do look like they're far away from a contender. They're 4 games under 500. That does not scream contender. But in a short series, if they can get in, they're the type of team that scares everybody because of their starting pitching, and also if their bullpen's right, they can even shrink the game there if Chapman, Holderman, and Bednar are on. So it wouldn't take many runs in a playoff game to win. That's why I don't think they're 3 or 4 bats away. For a playoff format, you just got to get in, and they're not that far away from getting in. And who knows next year if they're going to be in the same situation. That's why I don't want them to punt on the season. Yes, it is embarrassing that Connor Joe and Olivares was your cleanup guy on Sunday. But you get one substantial batter, 2 above-average bats, and you said a very log-jam situation That could be enough. St. Louis is in a playoff spot right now, Bob. They've got a minus 37 run differential. They're not a good team. Go up and down their lineup. Look how Goldschmidt and Arenado and those guys are struggling.
I understand that, but they do hit for power, and they've made up for some of that because of guys like Nolan Gorman and some of their younger players. But what I'm saying to you is, I get what you're saying about the postseason because I agree. I think it's harder to get to the postseason than it is to win a series in the postseason. And if that's the case, that's why they need help right now. They can't fall too far behind. And if they do go 4-9 on these 13 games and fall 6.5 out of the third wild card, it doesn't look like no matter what they do, they're going to be in a situation to change that.
And Bob, that's why decisions, when we're talking about two teams that are close, managerial decisions, players making mistakes, that can be the difference. In this game, I know it would seem like a small thing. It ended up being a small thing because they lost by 3 runs. You were at the game. Can you explain to me why Derek Shelton pinch hit for Rowdy Tellez in the 6th inning? He's your hottest hitter. He's one of your best hitters. You're down, 3 runs, and there's a runner at first base, and it's only the 6th inning. Why would you take one of your best hitters out of the game then? Can you explain that to me?
And first of all, I would never have thought I'd be saying that he was one of your best hitters, but he has been, and because of that, you keep him in the game. That did not happen. We're due for a break. We got to take it right now. Come back with more. Hang on, you callers. We'll try to get to you when we come back. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on KDKA+. Ken Rice is in the anchor desk.
Hey, Bob, tonight a search for answers is underway after a suspect at the center of a manhunt in Cranberry was found dead. Plus, how a search for a lost item in the Allegheny River led to a potential break in a cold case, and how state lawmakers are responding to a new Supreme Court ruling on how cities can handle homelessness. All coming up at 11, Bob. See you then.
All right, thanks very much, Ken. We have Kyle and Panther Pride Mike who say Bailey Falter's under team control through 2028. I didn't know that. I didn't think that was the case. Real quick, let's go to Jim in Peters Township before we go. Jim, go ahead. Make it quick.
Hey, I agree with a lot of things Andrew said, and let me just stress a couple things. Number one, catcher's interference, that should never happen. I played ball until I was 18. I saw it happen maybe 6 times. And you should never not know how many outs there are. Keller was racked up with home runs. If they don't right to strip the next 5 games, they're in trouble. But
all right, Jim, thank you. Final word to you, Andrew.
Bob, tomorrow, 3 o'clock, our fan producer hot dog eating contest. You can stream it. The video will be there, and the great Mary Hours will be singing our national anthem.
She's not participating? She should. All right. We're out of
Only
time.
producers, Bob.
Thank you very much. Good night. We'll see you again tomorrow night right here at 10:35.